you exit Amazon, and then are you like hanging out doing nothing, or were you pregnant with this idea?
I'd already started on this idea before I left.
As an entrepreneur should.
what I was hoping I could work out. I was hoping that I loved Whole Foods. I mean, I did it for 44 years. You
got pretty good at it by then.
I might have stayed there, and I thought I could bring my capital, my wisdom, my leadership to Love.Life, but I thought I could juggle both balls. And what became increasingly clear is that I had to let go of Whole Foods to really do Love.Life, to get all in. I was trying to do both, and I was not doing good enough in either one. So the answer was, in some ways, I've been thinking about Love.Life most of my adult life. I've been excited about this idea. In the book, I talk about way back in 1985, we almost did a smaller version of it called LifeWorks. I really believe in the human potential movement. I really believe in that humans are capable of evolving and growing and becoming the best version of ourselves. And that's really what Love.Life's about, helping people become the best version of themselves.
So let's define it. And again, what I'd like to do, because we have a lot of entrepreneurs listening who are in the midst of starting their companies or growing their companies, and you've had an incredible 44-year university at Whole Foods. And presumably you're bringing all of your experience and learnings to this new startup. So let's talk about how you did that and what you're doing there. So what was the sort of the seed crystal that ignited that? What was the founding principle around it?
For Love.Life?
Yeah.
The founding principle has been that I just believe we're on a journey, we're on a continuum, that each one of us can be healthier than we are. Each one of us can be more conscious than we are. Each of us can have higher degrees of emotional and spiritual intelligence. We have this limitless capacity for growth. And yet most people settle, they don't continue on it. They don't know how to. Mm-hmm. So but I've been growing myself my entire adult life. And part of what I try to do in the book, The Whole Story, is talk about, with all candidness, how many mistakes I made, what I didn't know when I was younger, what I've learned, how I grew, because I really wanted people, and I'm still learning and I'm still growing. The seed of that in some ways is what, like any good entrepreneur, this whole topic is something I'm very passionate about. I'm very passionate about people being as healthy as they possibly can. I'm very passionate about people getting more emotional intelligence, higher degrees of spiritual realizations. And Love.Life aims to do all those things. We're on the surface, it looks like we're going to have, let's talk about the components. We have a healthy restaurant. We have a state-of-the-art fitness center. It's a gym. So we have yoga studio. We have Pilates. We have, we're going to do all kinds of wellness, from physical therapy room to personal trainers we're going to do everything we can to help people to be physically healthy as possible. We'll have all these recovery modalities. So we have a spa. So in the spa we'll have massage and facials. Not a medical spa. You can't do Botox. Then we have lots of recovery modalities, from cold plunges to cryotherapy to red light therapy to infrared saunas to steam and regular saunas. Then we have we have 3 pickleball courts. You have 300. This is it's big. It's 45,000 square feet. Wow. It used to be a Best Buy.
The multiple centers at different locations, very much like a Whole Foods model of grow it.
That's what I hope. We know real estate. Yeah. We know how to build a chain. We know how to operate a large, spread out company. So I'm taking all that knowledge and wisdom, and I've got a lot of my old Whole Foods team working with me on it that have retired from Whole Foods and Amazon. And then the most important part, though, Peter, is the medical center. So we're starting out with 2 medical doctors, nurse practitioner, and wellness coaches. So the idea being, similar to some of the work that you're doing, is first we got to test people. You've got to know your baseline if you're going to improve on it. So most people have no idea. And then we have got a good app And so one of the problems, most people, when they go to see a doctor and they do blood tests or they do some other kind of testing, it stays in the doctor's files and they lose track of it. In this case, this is information is going to be on our platform that they can access whenever they want. They can give the doctor authority to access it and possibly their wellness coach. So once we get your baseline established, then we can take them in different directions depending on what they want to do. So let's say that they're an aging baby boomer like I am. I'm going to be interested in our longevity program. I want to extend my health span and my lifespan. If you ask people, would you like to live to be 100? Most people say, no, I don't think so. Because they think of somebody as 100 as being like with dementia.
Sure.
And
I usually ask them, do you want to live to 150? And they say no. But how old do you want to live, John?
I want to live as long as I possibly can while maintaining a high degree of mental and physical wellness. So I'm not going to I believe in the singularity that we're gaining longevity. Good. So it's possible that I'll spend all eternity at age 100.
Well, you and I are on the same page there. And then, I used to set a ridiculous goal of 700 years because I had heard that sea turtles could live that long. And then, and people, of course, dismiss it, it's laughable and such. But, a lot of people say I want to live to 100, 120, 150. And the realization was what I really want to do is live till what I call, longevity escape velocity, live to that point where you can live as long as science is continuing to extend your health span. And it's an exciting time. I think this is one of the most exciting times to be in this, I don't call it a business, I'll call it in this domain. And it's the greatest gift you can give anybody, right? I mean, health is the new wealth.
I agree. And it's something people take for granted. And it's unfortunate.
And partly, I think they take it for granted because a lot of people don't think they can do anything about it. And they're not willing to put in the extra work. Everybody's got sort of like, well, my dad and my granddad died at this age, so that's how long I have. And I think that's just a false premise. And
it is.
And that you can modify that. Okay, so you've been cooking this for a while. It's been a passion play for some time, but there was a point at which you transitioned. Was it when you to focus on that? And this was after you exited Amazon. Yes,
correct. That's when I was focused on it before then, but that's when I really went all in.
Are you playing the CEO role here in this one?
I am the CEO.
All right, good. That's good to know. I mean, by the way, I think anybody who's an entrepreneur and a baby boomer, I mean, I'm on my 25th or 26th company, and I plan to keep going for the next 50 years. I mean, I love building businesses. It's a creative art form.
What's more fun than that? I haven't found it.
Nothing. It's extraordinary. And by the way, entrepreneurs are the individuals who find and solve problems and ultimately make the world a better place. And I know your philosophy because I've heard it in my audiobook. By the way, I enjoyed the whole story as an audiobook. So for those who are reading audiobooks, definitely a fantastic download. My
only regret on the audiobook, Peter, is I only read the prologue.
I know.
When I was on that LSD trip. And I wish I'd read the whole thing, but I didn't. And we'll call that a minor regret.
By the way, I found that same experience. I didn't read my first book, Abundance. And then when I listened to it, I was like, oh, I don't like the author's voice, the reader's voice. And so I've read my book since then. And your next one, you should read it yourself. It's not bad. I mean, I like your voice better. But the person who reads the book is an excellent.
Well, he's the professional reader, Adam Barr. He could do one thing I couldn't do, because there's, as you know, it reads kind of like a novel, and we have a lot of dialogue in it. Yeah. He got the other voices, the accents down in a way I never could have done that. So that's the one plus for having him do the reading. For sure.
So you took the CEO role, and that's great. And I think, by the way, one of the best longevity therapeutics in the world is being an entrepreneur and being a CEO and having those challenges and having to learn and having to get up and having that passion every day, right? I mean, that's what keeps you young.
Yeah, because you're basically telling your body, hey, you can't get old because, I have this purpose I have to fulfill. So you got to stay with me, baby.
Yeah, exactly. If you ever want, and I tell people who use the word retirement, it's a 4-letter word. I Google the correlation between retirement and death. It's way too high. It's like an average, like 5 years after retirement, you die. So just don't ever retire. Did you co-found it? Did you bring it?
Oh, yeah.
You brought in, so talk about that. Who'd you bring in?
Oh, I co-founded it with some of my Whole Foods Markets executive team. So the Walter Robb, who was my co-CEO for 7 years and president before then, as a co-founder, as is Betsy Foster. She was a senior executive at Whole Foods for a long time. And then those are the 3 designated co-founders because I started everything with them. But I have other executives at Whole Foods that were there at the beginning. Glenda Flanagan, who was my longtime chief financial officer, AC Gallo, who was president, and Jim Sutter did real estate. So I kind of got the old gang back together. I made them an offer they couldn't refuse. I said, I know you don't want to work like you used to work, so I'm going to pay you this much per hour, and you just work whenever you want to. And then secondly, I gave them a lot of stock options so that if it hits, they'll get a good payday.
Amazing. What in 10 years from now in success, how many Love.Life centers are there on the planet?
It's funny. People always ask me the 10-year question, and I always quote back Yogi Berra, which is it's very difficult to make predictions, especially about the future. You've heard that one before. But here's the thing: if I get asked that question by journalists all the time about what's the world going to be like in 10 years, and I say, well, it's really hard to say because if you go back 10 or 15 years ago, people weren't using smartphones. We didn't know about AI. If you go back 20 years ago, the internet was just getting going. We didn't really have, most people weren't online. And if they were on AOL, dial-up modems. So new things are always emerging, right? AI is the latest big thing to emerge. And it's, it just came into people's consciousness a few years ago. So the thing that's underrated by people is new emergence. New emergence is always occurring. And so when you make a prediction about the future, you're predicting a static world without the changes. But the reality is, I don't think we'll have that many units 10 years from now, Peter, because we have to learn. We're going to have to be in dialogue with our members about what works and what doesn't work. Secondly, finding real estate is difficult. It takes a long time to find a great location, and then you have to build it out. You design it and build it out, and that takes a while. So I'll go out on a limb and say, something like 10 years from now, we'll have 10 to 15 units, but 20 years from now, we'll have 100.
Nice. Interesting. And of course,
you're into exponential growth.
I am.
And so am I. And so the exponential part kicks in once you really don't scale a business model that doesn't work. Get your business model down first, then begin to grow it. And then once you really have it, you take in massive, and you've proven it, you take in large amounts of capital and you exponentially grow it as quickly as you can.
I love that. And that's
on that medical thing to just finish that, what
please,
we were talking about before.
Yes.
So one path would be a longevity path if you're for physical health. Secondly, if we do the work and we find out, or people may already know it, if people need to reverse one of the things our medical system does a very poor job of is actually curing people. Yeah. The diseases that kill people today are chronic diseases, and so heart disease has been the leading killer since about 1900. The infectious diseases, COVID being a sort of a notable but temporary exception, an outlier for things like pneumonia and influenza and things like that were leading killers 100 years ago, are way, way down in terms of the number of people that die from them. So you got heart disease first, you got cancer second. Ironically, you've got doctors are the third leading cause of death.
It is so sad. Exactly. Iatrogenic deaths. Yes,
exactly. But then you've got stroke, you got type 2 diabetes, but it takes a while before you get down to any kind of infectious disease. So these are lifestyle dietary diseases that are killing people. So the first thing is if people have a chronic disease like obesity, like type 2 diabetes, like heart disease, and like most autoimmune diseases, we can help them reverse those diseases. So healing people is one of the functions or one of the paths people can go down.
Nice.
Thirdly, we're going to appeal to young people, and that we're going to call them maximum performers. We can take people on a journey to get their maximum, to do the burn, to get absolutely as fit as they can, their VO2 max, to get to do the personal trainer, to do the weight, to do the serious weight stuff and the endurance, and really get them as fit and healthy as possible. And then we have a concierge program so that people can be all in. So those are the way they can do in the medical. So the doctors are trained in functional medicine, integrative medicine, and lifestyle medicine.
Perfect.
So they can do primary health care, but the whole idea of their primary job is going to be to help people whichever path they want to go down and help support them. We're starting with 2 doctors, and hopefully we'll grow to more fairly quickly, but we have 2 to start.